Hey, what's going on everyone? Denzel here, and today we are going to go over some technique analysis for the kettlebell swings. The swings is one of your foundational lifts in kettlebell training. And just like your deadlift, it's considered to be a hinge-based movement, meaning the main action center happening around these lifts is going to be our hips. And so, having that said, the deadlift is actually a prerequisite for the swings. So before you even try to learn the swings, it is a must for you to master the deadlift. Familiarize yourself with hinging properly from your hips, maintaining the head and neck alignment, making sure that you don't round your back, making sure the shin is nice and vertical. Until you have mastered that, then you don't have any business holding a bell and trying to do a swing. So, on this video, I'm going to show you 3 common errors that I see from people whenever they do the swings. And unfortunately, a lot of people lack the awareness when it comes to the swings, and a lot of the trainers and coaches don't even know how to teach it. So during this video, I'm going to show you 3 common errors, and I also provide some drills and cues so that you don't commit the same mistakes. But first, before we dive into that, let me demonstrate you 5 good repetitions of the kettlebell swings. So first, the setup is very, very important. Okay, it's going to set up the foundation for a good swing. So first and foremost, you have to set the bell at least 6 to 8 inches away from your feet. Okay? So later on, I'll discuss the importance of having a good distance. So you have to find your sweet spot. Not too far and not too close. So from there, you have to make sure that your toes are ideally pointing forward, and then have a tall spine and slightly unlock your knees. From here, you're going to take your hands around your hips and hinge back. Okay? So when I hinge back, as you can see, my shin is nice and vertical. So not much work is happening around my knees and my ankles. Majority of the work is happening around our hips. And that's the reason why it's called the hinge-based movement. Okay? So once I hinge, I make sure I check in with my head and neck alignment, making sure I don't round my back. Okay? Making sure that I maintain a nice neutral spine from my head, my neck, my upper back, and my lower back. Okay? From there, once everything is set up properly, I'll now hold the bell by the horns. Okay? But I just don't want to hold the bell passively. I want to hold it actively by internally rotating my elbows as if I'm squeezing lemons underneath my armpits. So when I do this, I'm sort of like engaging my lats. So this is going to help me, especially as the weight gets heavier. Okay? So I want to hold the bell actively, engaging my lats, maintaining my head and neck alignment. From here, once everything is established, the setup is nice, I'm going to take a nice inhale through the belly and start the movement. So that's a good 5 to 6 repetitions of the kettlebell swings. Now, you will notice that majority of the movement, the force is actually being initiated from my hips, okay? Not much of my quads, not much from the knees, okay? Not much movement from my ankles as well. So, what is the first common error that we see when people do the swings? So, people don't realize that the swing is actually a hinge-based movement. And they confuse it a lot with a squat pattern. So usually when they swing, it's gonna look like this. So as you can see, my knees are protruding forward, okay? And my hips are dipping down. So once you see that from lifters, it's going to be a good sign that they're squatting and not hinging. So what is one drill that you can use? So I have here a medicine ball. So you can also do this just to make sure that you have a correct form. So I'm going to place this medicine ball just in between my feet, okay? And then I'm going to repeat the process just how I showed you earlier how to do a correct kettlebell swing. So hinge around my hips, hold the bell by the horns, squeeze my lats, okay? From here, I'm going to tilt the bell backwards just so I can gain some momentum as I start the movement. So what is the purpose of having a medicine ball? So the medicine ball is there to act as a tactile feedback. So once you hit the ball, it's sending you a signal that you're squatting too low, you're not hinging from your hips. So ideally, if you can also record a video from a front angle, and once you see that the bell goes beyond your knees, that is a good sign that you're squatting, and that is an incorrect form of doing the kettlebell swing. So ideally, when you have a medicine ball in between your feet, make sure you don't hit the ball. So it's somehow gonna force you to do it correctly and make sure you don't hit it. And another drill that you can use if you have a buddy or you have a friend, you can somehow have them place their hands just like a few inches in front of your knees, just making sure that it doesn't touch as soon as you stay on top or once you hinge. So ideally, when we swing, you want to maintain a nice and vertical shin. Again, no movement from our knees and our ankles. So that's the number one common error, squatting instead of actually hinging. So the second error that we see is overreaching or overextension from the hips. And this is a very, very common, and it's actually a formed habit, especially for deadlifters. And I've seen this countless times wherein, imagine this is a bar, and imagine this is like double my body weight. They're gonna pick up the bar, stand up straight, and then extend their hips as if they're leaning too much at the back, okay? And you hear this all the time. When people are doing the swings, they complain about lower back pain. And that's because they're overreaching, and that creates a lot of stress and muscular tension with their lumbar spine. So a very good cue that you can use is to just stand up straight, tall spine, and lengthening through the crown of your head. So yes, you have to lock your knees, but it doesn't mean that you have to go all the way here. So just stand up nice and tall spine. And then one drill that you can use as well is if you have a buddy or a friend of yours, you can have their hand placed at the back, at the middle back, or at your upper back. So again, when you hit this top position in this kettlebell swing, if you hit that hand of the friend of yours, then that's a good sign that you're actually overreaching and overextending your hips. So just a few inches away from your back, that's gonna actually force you to stay upright and stay tall. And one of the few reasons why, and it's a big reason why people overreach and overextend their hips, and that's because they don't have the awareness to activate their core. So you have to keep your rib cage down, and by that, you hear me all the time when I hit this top position, I exhale and put a lot of pressure in this container and in my belly. So in that way, I'm activating my core. I'm exhaling as hard as I can, because the swing, at the end of the day, it's a power-based movement. It's gonna increase and improve your power and endurance. So when you overextend your hips, you're basically moving away from your midline, and you always have to remember to find that stack. That stack basically means from head to toe, all the joints are on top of each other. And when you do this, when you overextend your hips, you're basically, the stack is actually has a kink in the straw, okay? So always remember to just stay upright, nice and tall from head to toe. The last common error that I see from people is what I call the lack of connection and disengagement of their forearms with their inner thighs, okay? So sometimes when people do the kettlebell swings, they're rushing into the movement. So this is actually a two-part series of this particular error. So the first part is once people reach this position, once the bell is floating on top, they're not patient enough to wait for the bell to travel all the way down. So when the bell goes down, they hinge too early, okay? And you can actually experience this firsthand, just even without a kettlebell. Just try it on your body weight. This position actually holds more stability than this, okay? So when you hinge, while the bell is still in this area, this is what we call the red zone, this creates a lot of tension on your lower back. And thus the reason why people complain lower back pain, stiffness, lower back stiffness, because again, you have to wait for the bell or the top of your forearms to reach your inner thighs, and that is a go signal for you to hinge. Not here, but here. So again, once you reach this top position, you have to wait, and then hinge. Okay? Not until you feel that your forearms have reached your inner thighs. You don't have the right to actually hinge. So you have to wait patiently. Now, once you've hit this position, this back swing, some people, you'll see them, instead of hinging from their hips, it looks like they're actually doing a dumbbell front raise or something like a shoulder exercise, wherein they're using their arms to actually raise the bell. So, and that's a good sign there's a lack of force production. Because again, the swing, majority of the work should be coming from our hips. Now, some people, when they swing the bell, they disengage their forearms with the inner thighs too early. And when this happens, when you stand up really tall, without even the bell coming all the way up, you don't wait for the bell to come up, eventually you're going to use your arms to raise the bell. And again, kettlebell swings is all about power. It's all about strength and endurance. So just imagine when you hit this swing and you disengage your forearms early enough in the movement, it's not going to create a lot of force. Okay? So you have to wait for the bell and for your body to stay upright, and that's the time you snap your hips and just really allow the bell to float on top. Okay? So from here, this is actually a very critical part of the swing. So again, the first part, you have to be patient enough to let the bell travel down. Once your forearms, the top of your forearms reach your inner thighs, that's the time you hinge. And wait, and disengage. Okay? Don't disengage while the bell is still in this area or this region of your body. Because again, that is eventually, especially if you're doing a lot of repetitions, you're going to experience some low back pain and low back stiffness. And no wonder why so many people, when they're learning the swings, they complain about some back spasms or lower back pain. And that's because they're not aware of the position of their arms and its relationship with your hips. So that's 3 common errors. I hope you've learned something out of this. Try and feel those drills that I just shared with you. Share it with your friends. And the next time you pick a kettlebell, I hope you won't commit the same mistakes again, and perform the kettlebell exercise with much more safety and more fun. So I hope you learned something. Sending you all love and happiness, strength and vitality. Peace.